For decades, Al Roker mastered the art of speaking to millions of Americans every morning. Whether he was forecasting hurricanes, joking with co-hosts, or comforting viewers during national tragedies, his voice became one of the most familiar sounds on television. Audiences admired his warmth, quick humor, and ability to make people feel calm before starting their day. But behind the bright studio lights and lively broadcasts, there was one lesson Al learned over time that surprised even some of his closest friends. The most powerful tool in his career was not his voice at all. It was silence. His wife, Deborah Roberts, understood this truth perhaps better than anyone. As an accomplished journalist herself, Deborah spent years interviewing people during the hardest moments of their lives. She learned that silence often reveals emotions words try to hide. At home, she noticed how Al carried that same understanding into his own work and relationships. Early in his career, like many ambitious young broadcasters, Al believed success depended on always having the perfect thing to say. Television moved fast, producers demanded energy, and audiences expected constant conversation. Silence once felt dangerous to him, almost like failure. He feared awkward pauses, worried about dead air, and tried to fill every moment with humor or commentary. But after decades in broadcasting, he slowly discovered something that changed him forever. People do not always remember the loudest voice in the room. Sometimes they remember the person who knew when to stop talking. One former producer recalled covering a devastating national tragedy alongside Al many years ago. The newsroom was chaotic. Everyone rushed to speak first, offer opinions, and react instantly. Yet when the cameras turned toward Al, he paused for several seconds before speaking. At first, younger staff members thought something had gone wrong, but viewers later flooded the network with letters saying that brief silence made them feel the true weight of the moment. It showed respect for the pain people were experiencing. Al realized then that silence could communicate compassion more deeply than words ever could. As the years passed, that lesson shaped not only his career, but his entire outlook on life. Deborah often encouraged him to protect quiet moments away from public attention. In a world increasingly obsessed with noise, notifications, and endless opinions, their home became a refuge built around calm conversations, long walks, shared meals, and evenings without television constantly playing in the background. Friends noticed that Al listened more carefully as he got older. During gatherings, he often allowed others to speak first. Younger colleagues sometimes approached him expecting dramatic career advice, only to discover that Al preferred asking thoughtful questions and listening quietly before responding. One aspiring broadcaster later said that a single silent nod from Al during a difficult conversation gave him more confidence than a long motivational speech ever could. That quiet presence became even more meaningful during Al's personal health struggles. When he faced serious medical challenges and long recovery periods, there were moments when words simply felt inadequate. Publicly, viewers saw updates and encouraging smiles. Privately, Deborah witnessed nights filled with uncertainty, exhaustion, and reflection. During those difficult months, Al reportedly spent more time sitting quietly with family, appreciating ordinary moments he once rushed through during the busiest years of his career. He discovered that silence could also be healing. Not empty silence filled with loneliness, but peaceful silence shared with people who truly care about one another. Deborah later hinted to friends that illness changed Al's relationship with time itself. He became less interested in proving himself and more focused on protecting meaningful moments. Technology also played a role in shaping his beliefs. Al belonged to a generation that remembered life before smartphones, before social media turned every opinion into instant public performance. He watched younger personalities feel pressured to comment on everything immediately, often without reflection. That constant noise concerned him. He quietly believed society was losing the ability to pause, think, and truly listen. In interviews, he occasionally mentioned how difficult it had become for people to sit comfortably with silence. Every quiet moment now seems filled by scrolling screens, alerts, or endless commentary. But Al understood something many people his age deeply relate to. Some of life's most important truths arrive quietly. The birth of a child, the grief after losing loved ones, the comfort of holding someone's hand in a hospital room, the peacefulness of sitting beside a spouse after decades together. These experiences rarely need dramatic speeches. They live in silence, in presence, in shared understanding. Deborah admired that side of him most. Despite decades of fame, she knew the real Al was not the energetic television personality audiences saw each morning. The real Al was the man who sat quietly beside family members during difficult times, who listened carefully before giving advice, who understood that kindness often requires no grand performance at all. One longtime friend said that Al grew older. He seemed more comfortable with stillness than with applause. That observation touched many people who heard it, because it reflected a truth about aging itself. In youth, people often chase recognition, attention, and noise, but with experience comes a different understanding. Peace matters more. For viewers now entering their 60s and beyond, Al Roker's story carries a deeply emotional message. After a lifetime spent speaking to millions, he ultimately discovered that silence is not weakness, emptiness, or absence. Silence can be wisdom. Silence can be dignity. Silence can be love. And in a world louder than ever before,
Perhaps the people who truly leave the greatest impact are the ones who know exactly when words are no longer necessary.